being an anime fan is rough. All right, I need people to understand exactly how terrible anime has gotten over the years, and it is not because of its sudden boom into mainstream. It is because anime for the longest has been in a stupid lull where they just do the same shit over and over and over again. The anime that they promote, the anime they give better animations to, happens to be shit that is similar to everything else that they've already released. Now, you can make the distinction that is like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Fine. You can have that mentality if you want. But look at the rhetoric behind that mentality in terms of anime. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Fine. Yet, all the anime that happens to be copies of other shit that's already existed tend to do worse by comparison than the actual animes that they're copying from. And the original things tend to actually spawn off so much more, so much more in terms of popularity, content, and viewership, as well as just overall general enthusiasm behind from fans, that it's ridiculous for them to constantly keep promoting and releasing content that is the same as everything else. Look at what happened to Chainsaw Man. By all metrics, because of what the manga did within Chainsaw Man, and then during the pandemic, you would expect Chainsaw Man to be this big fucking deal of an anime, and it wasn't. It was actually done with like incredible animation and super pretty and everything, but it wasn't. You know why? It's because it was the exact same thing as Jujutsu Kaisen, which was still showing. Like, it was still being aired, and it was still basically in the height of its popularity. So having another anime comes out that's the exact same fucking thing, by comparison, just more bloody, made no sense. But Jujutsu Kaisen is Naruto. And Naruto, so it's like that mentality behind it is like, well, Naruto's over with. So Jujutsu Kaisen coming out and basically following the same trends, same rules, same concept and logic and whatnot. Bam! There you go. Whatever. Chakra is now curse. Whatever. And then from Chainsaw Man, you'd be like, curse is now demon shit. Whatever, It's something to where it's like, all right, you do all that. You gave that to the big time studio. You gave that money to progress. You gave that time to flourish and whatnot. And you saw the pop, and then it's like, but well, on the other side of the fence, you guys saw the popularity of One Punch Man. You saw how big of a boom that was. You saw exactly what that did with numbers and how it was destroying shit from Shonen Jump. Yep. What did you do with your second season? Well, we gave it to a studio that's known for cutting corners and being shit, as well as being a studio that does nothing in terms of action-packed series, as it mostly just deals with the gag shit. Then we did not have that studio hire the guy that the studio for One Punch Man prior hired to enact all of its wonderful and amazing action scenes. And then we released it with half of the episodes, and it just overall just didn't look as well polished. Because obviously we cut corners, because that's what we do as a studio. Why the fuck would you do that? Who made that idea? Who gave that distinction or that plan to do that? And now for a third season, that same fucking studio that fucked up is getting that anime back. And it looks just as bad. And it's like, it's been years since you released your second season. And it was a while before the second season came out, prior to the first season. Why would you do this? And like I say anime, but like I'm talking about everything. I mean, the studio, the mangakas, all this shit, the fans, all of that shit. The biggest anime in the world right now is One Piece. There is no anime that is like One Piece. There is nothing that has copied its formula or its mentality or showcased it in any way, shape, or form. There are plenty of shonen that do the whole, all right, you split off and fight people as they go and try to do a quest or something like that. Sure, but all of One Piece does not comprise of that. They have moments that are like that, but everything isn't like that. The character, the dynamic, the world building, none of that shit is present in any other fucking anime on that scale. Now, that's the biggest anime in the world right now. Now, the anime that essentially you can contend is like one of the most popular going on right now, that's just basically on everybody's tongue, everybody likes it, everyone is looking at it, people enjoy it, and they're really engrossed in the characters, they like what's going on, they like the battles, they like the animation, all that shit is fine, 10 across the board. It's a fucking webcomic. The anime that is insanely popular right now is Korean. Do you not see how stupid it is? Like, how fucked up is that you now have a Korean thing beating out the Japanese? Why? Because no one gives a fuck about the Japanese shit anymore, because it's the exact same thing. The repetition and the stuff that you've seen over and over and over and over and over again is boring. For whatever reason, that stagnation is perfectly fine and doable within Japanese society, as well as like the otakus and shit like that in Japan. But as soon as it progressed over into the Eastern media, where they demanded more from the content, look back at what happened within history. All right? Evangelion. Neon Genesis Evangelion is possibly one of the most popular fucking anime that has ever fucking existed when it came out. The thing spawned so many different movies. You know about the remake movies and shit like that. It was insanely popular. That anime had no fucking budget to work with. It's an original anime, so it wasn't a manga first, it was an anime first. It had no concept of a budget, but it became one of the biggest things ever. And it's like, what? How do you justify that? How do you justify the fact that Cowboy Bebop, fucking Gundam, as well as Cowboy Bebop, Gundam, and Trigun were series that did not do well in Japan? Gundam only became popular after reruns. This is a fact. Like, look that up. Gundam essentially was canceled as a series, and they were kind of done with it when it was over with. And then because of reruns, and they kept showing it over and over again, it actually built up a fan base to lead it into the empire that it is now. Cowboy Bebop and Trigun were series that essentially were dismissed in Japan. They did not like those series. And then because of Adult Swim or Toonami, when that was introduced here in America, they got all of the low-end anime that essentially they did not want in Japan. They were cheap, they were still good-looking anime and things that were fun to watch, and they picked them up and they played them over here. And then because of the beauty of repetition, we got to see those things again and again and again and again. Now, how dare anyone talk about Cowboy Bebop in a negative way? That is something that is considered perfection to a lot of people. Trigun is a beautiful series, and hell, compared the story of that of someone who has a weapon that's capable of killing and them not wanting to kill, in comparison to something like Rurouni Kenshin with that same mentality, fucking woo! just miles and leagues ahead. There's so many times Rurouni Kenshin where Kenshin is just like, I'll kill him, and then he like flip out for a little bit, and then he just goes back to being a murderer, and then he just goes back to, nah, I don't kill, and it's like, all right, yeah, whatever. But in Trigun, nah. It's like a literal mental breakdown happens after a murder is done in front of this man. It's like, that's how strong he feels about that conviction of non-killing. But I digress. It still is like even in the confines of like another anime that's right now that's out that people are also talking about in terms of being a really good anime that a lot of people are like hyping behind. They like what's going on with it. It's innovative in how it's handling animation. It's crossing 3D and 2D. It has different forms of 2D going on. It has interesting characters and interesting dynamic. It's serious enough to where you are to where an audience, an adult audience can look at it and not be bogged down by it. And then it's silly enough and wacky enough to where it's like, yeah, in terms of the kid aspect for most younger audiences of anime, they can get behind it on a general scale. The same shit that One Piece does over and over and over and over again, which is why it's considered so goddamn good. This anime that I'm talking about currently is Chinese. It's called To Be Hero X. It's a Chinese fucking anime. It's a Chinese anime is doing better than the Japanese anime. And they did something the Japanese didn't even fucking think of, which was, why don't you incorporate different forms of animation in your series? And it's blowing people away. The story and the shit that's being handled in it is completely Chinese. As someone who looks at Donghua, the Chinese anime shit, it is so Chinese, it's sickening. And it's like, there's nothing that's being done in To Be Hero X that I haven't seen before in other Chinese shit. So it's not grand on that scale, but compared to anime, It is so far fucking removed from the other bullshit that comes out that of course people are going to hold it in the highest fucking regard. And all that's going to do is promote more Chinese anime, because that's the same fucking thing that the webcomic shit did when it came out. Nigga, I'm disgusted with the shit that's coming out and what's going on within Japanese anime, because again, I'm passionate about the stuff. I like the stuff. I'm currently looking at I Was an Evil Lord in the Intergalactic Empire. I fucking hate this anime. I fucking hate this anime because I read the manga. I read the manga and I love the manga. It was it was something that was original. It was cool. It was interesting. I get excited whenever it updates. I like looking into it. I've reread it multiple times because it doesn't have that many chapters, but it's still a very interesting and very cool story and very funny. And yet it got turned into an anime, and everything that I could possibly like about the series was stripped away in order to incorporate this generic, by the book, boring ass fucking anime, because that's what Japan does. And I can't tell you how fucking disgusted I am that that's a thing. Why would that be your mentality to something? Something has become popular for being what it is, and then your take on it was to make it and put it into a studio, make this shit move, but when you do, let's change everything about it that gave it its identity and its personality. And it's so goddamn stupid. It, like, you see shit like the MCU and how that handles comic book characters, and it's like, that's whatever, that's fine. But anime and manga are both sides of the same coin. Manga sells anime, anime sells manga. The manga is a fucking storyboard. All you gotta do is make that shit move. You give it better animation, have better action scenes, and you just make it crisp, clean, and easily digestible so the pacing isn't a piece of shit. You are going to make money. You are going to build a fan base. You're going to get people invested in it because it was worthy to get an anime in the first place because of the popularity of the fucking manga. Hell, there are things that get an anime just strictly to continue to sell a manga, and they're only supposed to go in one season. But because of the popularity of the anime, it garners enough money to get more anime. The Classroom of the Elites, perfect example of that. That was only supposed to have one season. People loved that one season. The manga just kept going. And it was like people kept talking about how much they liked that one season for so long that they broke down, and now it has like 3 going on 4 right now. Nigga. It's like, why can't something I like get that same fucking attention? You wanna know what's crazy? Classroom of the Elites, following the manga perfectly, not missing anything. Yet, a majority of the anime that are coming out now, based off of whether or not they're following the light novel or the manga, are doing goofy shit, where you are now having these anime directors get a hold of this shit and just making up whatever the fuck they want, without any regards towards the fandom, without any regards towards the actual content, or the mentality or the individuality that came from that manga or light novel, which is what made that shit popular in the first fucking place. It's outrageous. I would love if everything essentially went the way of went the way of Eminence of Shadow, which I personally believe is one of the greatest anime to come out in the last 10 years, as well as like a very wonderful highlight and interesting depiction of the current isekai genre, as well as the mentality behind an actual main character that follow his own way without being led by different stupid quests and shit like that propped up for no inexplicable reason outside of just girl asks you a favor, you go do what girls say. Fuck all that. No, main character's all about this, and that's what he's doing, and then the chips fall where they may because he's doing what he's doing. It's hilarious, it's funny, it's innovative, it's cool, the action is amazing, the concept is amazing. We love they keep doing more with Eminence of Shadow. I hope they keep doing more with Eminence of Shadow, but anime fandom, because the people are so used to the garbage that keeps coming out from anime that's repetitive, they look at something that's innovative, new, and different, and their original response to a lot of shit is just, why is this different? Why is he doing that? I can't understand why he's doing that. But you can understand the mentality behind the dumb fucks. But when you got a smart motherfucker, then all of a sudden it's like, yo, you're supposed to have fun watching this because that's what the show is. Nah, I need them to go into explicit detail and backstory behind shit. No, he's making fun of why are you doing that? He doesn't care. Nah, but that's what they always do. It's like, that's the problem. That's what he's pointing out. That's why this is making it funny. I mean, I could go into an argument about this shit all day long, but Eminence of Shadow is a great series, but it's just the simple fact. It's the simple fucking fact that I looked at Eminence of Shadow, and I can, even though it might, like, considering how certain anime fans are, like, you personally might feel this way, even if you feel that it's not something that's that big of a deal, you don't really care for the series or anything like that, I still have a good representation of that manga as an anime. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, it's not as if, like, okay, yes, you might not like it, or it did not do well enough to where it's like, okay, it's not going to garner any more seasons, or it's not going to get any more episodes or anything like that. It's just strictly, hey, this wasn't certain people's cup of tea. It happened to be mine. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I'm like, all I have is just that. Fine. But that means I still have a good adaptation over a manga that I read, turned into an anime that I love immensely. I love it. It's a good anime. But there you go. Same thing for Overlord. Overlord is a series that I just really, really enjoy. And it's like, okay, I still have an anime adaptation done by Madhouse, done with some fucking credibility, has multiple movies and multiple concepts, and it's just done well. Okay. Whether or not you like it or want to watch it or enjoy it or anything like that, that's on you. But I still have an actual good representation for that anime. Okay. Now look at something like Fullmetal Alchemist. Fullmetal Alchemist didn't have the manga to be able to create the original anime when it first came out. They only had like 3 volumes of the manga when they decided to make it an anime. So they worked with that and they made up whatever. But what they made up was something that was done with the idea of keeping to the same tone, distinction, and direction of the original Fullmetal Alchemist. Only then for Brotherhood to come out, blow everybody away, and people just love that even more, which followed the manga story to a T. But again, even in both concepts, if you were to look at either Fullmetal Alchemist anime, neither of them are bad. You see what I'm saying? It's like they're still watchable, good anime, despite the differences between the two. And even if you understand the backstory behind it, it's an understandable concept. They had to do something, but they got someone talented enough to do who was going to do something, and what he did was something good. But now you have an abundance of people who are just trying to shoot out as many fucking anime as possible, because right now it's just strictly quantity over quality. And they're trying to shoot out as many things as possible, get the rights to whatever they can, hurry up and make something, and then they just release it for the season. And it's like, is it any good? Will people even like it? Does anyone even care? Who gives a fuck? But it's out there. It's out there now. Whether it follows the manga correctly or anything, who cares? Whatever. And it's like, all right, is it gonna get the recognition that it deserves? Is this how action scenes go down? Is this how certain characters are introduced? Is it done in the way that the manga did it, which is what made people like this in the first place? Who gives a fuck? We just released an anime for a season because we had to fit our quota, goddammit. Now you got the goddamn I'm a master country bumpkin thing doing like existing. I say existing, and I would say in the opposite side from like my younger brother who talks about it, and it's like he reads the manga of it. He can't stand the anime because the anime does so much to go against what happened in the manga, and it's just a clusterfuck. When he explained it to me, I went, well, I don't even want to watch the anime. Because the stuff that you talked about that was interesting and fun from the manga, I wanted to see that. I want to see that move. I want to see that in color and pictures for that. I didn't feel like picking up a brand new manga to incorporate all that. And it was like, hey, I wouldn't mind watching that. And then he was like, none of that is in the anime. Then I was like, then I'm not looking at the anime. How hard was it though for them to do that for the anime? And then the animation for it is actually very good. I've seen the first episode and the animation is really good. But then it was like, but then my brother was confused and how shit was going. And then I was like, wait, then I want to see this. I was like, no, I'm not going to watch this. I just immediately just opted out from the shit. But that is what's making being an anime fan just so unbelievably outrageously hard. And it's like, like again, the evil intergalactic emperor thing, evil intergalactic lord, whatever title. And it's like, yeah, I was really, really wanted to watch that. That was something I was super excited for this year of anime. I really wanted to watch that because again, the manga is amazing. It is just really good in how it's handling itself. How it carries itself and handles itself, and it's like, yeah, just make this shit move. From day fucking one, first episode of the little evil intergalactic emperor thing, I was just disgusted. Because I was like, this doesn't happen. This doesn't make any sense. Why are you doing this? I'm questioning everything and being confused and torn asunder because it's like the simple tone behind how characters' dynamic and distinction is completely removed because you want to make this kiddie shit. But it's like, it's a main character who's literally chopped people into pieces because he's supposed to be evil. That's what he wants. But it's goofy because he shouldn't even be able to do that. And it's like completely missed the mark. Just completely missed the mark. Now I got some dumbass subplot of him falling in love with his robot maid, which isn't even a thing in the manga. That's not even presented in the manga as a thing. And yet we're doing it in this anime when no one asked for it. I don't even know if this has a light novel or if the anime is following the light novel or not, but I know for a fact that the manga is done in a particular way, and this is not following the manga, and what it's doing in the anime is so goddamn ridiculous. It's so completely off-putting that it's not enjoyable at all. I don't like where anime is going. Because again, they're not learning anything from all the shit that they're doing. They're just making the exact same mistakes over and over and over again because the actual mangakas and the anime directors and whatnot aren't doing anything or aren't being met with a certain standard to do better than what they've currently been doing. And it's just disgusting. After all these years, after all this popularity, after all this stuff that has put anime into the mainstream, why would you still keep to yourself in this weird dumbass bubble that eventually will pop and collapse upon itself, where you are still stuck with stuff being categorized as either trash or not, which is a horrible way to gauge something. It's just, you're looking at this and it's like, is this anime trash or is it not? Which is what a majority of people in the community decide to dictate is anime now, which is again, terrible. It's not a grading system of just, this had merit. The animation was okay. The voice acting was all right. The pacing was pretty good. The quality of this, that, and the third and all that. Blam. No, it's just, is this trash? Is this something that's not even worth acknowledging your fucking time? Something you can just throw away and never have to hear from or see again. And it won't bother you at all because you're not a fan of the original material that this thing was adapted from. So you'll be fine. Oh, perfect anime for that. Remon Monster. I love Remon Monster. Remon Monster is one of the big four of the mangas that existed where the main character was technically a villain. And they were all isekais where the main character became a monster. You had the time I got reincarnated into a slime, the I'm a spider girl, so what? Or I'm a monster in a cave, so what? Remon Monster and Overlord. Those were it were 4 manga that all got released simultaneously. And they blew up in popularity because of what it is that the characters were doing and how that was so different from the typical isekai genre. Overlord had a great anime. Time I got reincarnated into a slime had a good anime. I'm a spider girl, so what? Got a good anime. Remon Monster was the last one to get an anime. Its anime was shit. Don't even want to see it again. Everything that made Remon Monster special and spectacular had to take it away. Oh, he has sex with girls? Oh, okay. You want to show that on TV, on live? Well, they didn't show it in the manga, but it still acknowledged it, sex. That's a thing. Ugh. He's eating people. Yeah, that's his power. Why? If you have such an objection towards what it is that he is and what he can do, why the fuck would you make the anime? Why didn't you give it to somebody else? Why don't you let someone else pick up some shit that you were too pussy to do and let someone else do, and you do something else that you would be comfortable with? Where's the fucking Where's the thought process behind this shit? This isn't trading players from a sport, you know, where it's like, well, I would rather we pick you up and just keep you on standby. That way you're not a problem for us later on when we have to deal with this team and whatnot, because duh. No, that's not how that works. It was like, why don't you make an anime you're comfortable with, and then you put your all into that, and then you make your money off of your type of anime. And then someone else takes an anime that they're comfortable with doing, and then they make their money off of that shit. I would say Remon Monster would deserve the type of fucking animation that would deserve the type of animation that like Overlord and Hellsing Ultimate deserve, because that's how dark and gritty it gets, but it still has that lighthearted funniness that, you know, they easily, the Hellsing definitely was able to showcase. Hellsing Ultimate, but it yeah, I gotta go now, but just yeah, man, I've just been sitting here rimbing and raving for this, but it's like, yeah, anime is not in a good place. Despite what anyone might tell you or what they might think, anime is not in a good place. And the sad thing is that the Japanese just don't understand that they're not in a good place, and then they're having Crunchyroll of all things dictate and decide what it is that they need to do with anime, and they're not grasping as a whole what the fuck it is that the Crunchyroll fan base is doing, as well as what the anime community is capable of doing, and then what the anime studios have been doing for years and years and years, and what they keep pushing out, and then how that actually regulates towards what it is that people are able to see and what it is that they want to see. It's a twisted cycle that's just, it's not going to get fixed anywhere like no time fast. And the fact that you now have something Korean and something Chinese blowing out of the water, things you have been doing and like been able to create for years now, I would be disgusted, because the only thing that they can't beat is something that essentially is so far away from typical anime and manga that it is identified as basically just the most ridiculous outlier that has ever existed within anime and manga, and that's One Piece. Because like you can't tell me any anime or manga that is similar to One Piece. You can't. It's an outlier. That thing is in a league of its own for a reason. But again, it's sad. It's just all sad. Everything just sucks. It really sucks. I really wanted that evil, I'm a lord of evil intergalactic empire thing. I'm an evil lord of intergalactic empire thing to be good. I really wanted it to, but. And at least if it was good, like I said, I just could have had, if it was good and people didn't like it, then I just could have had a good anime that a lot of people didn't like. But now I have a bad anime that a lot of people don't like. That's probably never going to get the recognition that it deserves. Damn. Well, this has been another episode of Phone Flame. I've been your host, Danieltheflame. And there's always good people. I hope you had fun.